Alright, so this time we're going to do what we probably ought to have done from the beginning and talk a little bit about how to make a child theme. Now this is actually the hard way to do theming, but it's also the smart way. And if you learn how to do this, it will help you with other kinds of theming and other kinds of kind of advancing your skills for using CMSs, both for building plugins and for building themes. Why? Because the structure we're going to talk about now, especially when we start talking about using hooks and filters. We're not going to talk about filters, but using filters is very similar to using hooks. Creating functions to change the theme is also the way you create plugins. And so if you understand one, you're a little bit closer to understanding how to create your own plugin if you ever need to do that. Now, I want to stress that this is the last, sort of the final straw. If you've done everything you can with the basic built-in components and changing the theme that way, if you've done everything you can with plugins and modules and made kind of added in components that should help you do stuff, if you've then used CSS, which is extraordinarily powerful for changing the display level, we're going to talk a little bit about maybe even bringing in another display layer using JavaScript and jQuery. If you've done all of those things, then the next step is to kind of go in and actually change the templates. But before you do that, you might be able to do it on another layer by kind of hooking into the existing templates. That has a lot of advantages, including preserving what's called the upgrade path. That is, allowing you to upgrade the original theme and the original software, hopefully, ideally, without having any effect on your plugins and your theme plugins, kind of what we're going to do today in a child theme. So we're going to talk about creating a child theme. I just want to kind of give you the conceptual overview first. We have a theme, and then we have a child theme that says, I want to inherit a lot of the things that are happening in this original theme, but I'm going to change some little things in here. And we're going to do, just as a reminder, we're going to change the CSS just a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and create a function in PHP that adds in a little bit to the template, that puts in a new line in the head. Again, you don't need to know this stuff. You don't need it for the exam if that's what you're worried about. This is more for your general edification, and because it will be helpful if you decide to kind of go along this path a little bit further. So don't completely check out. At least try to follow along. You don't have to try the activity if you don't want, but try to follow along here. If you don't get it completely, don't worry. We're moving on to PHP later on, and that you might want to come back and revisit it once we've talked a little bit more about PHP. All right, so let's get started. All right, so we're going to start out by loading in Thematic. We've been using this we've been bastardizing this version of Thematic into Thematic. We've been doing it the old-fashioned way and hacking right into the code rather than doing a child theme. Now we're going to do it the right way and go ahead and play with a child theme. So let's start by adding a new theme. And the theme is Thematic, the original. And we'll go ahead and install it. Now once we have it installed, we need to go ahead and create a child theme. So we're going to do that by going here and looking in Themes, and you'll see we have Thematic and we have Thematic. Let's look in Thematic. Let's make that so you can see it. So we'll look in Thematic, and you'll see that we have a bunch of things in here, including Thematic Sample Child Theme. Right now, this is in the Thematic. I should have named it something completely different. In the Thematic directory, I'm going to just drag it up here to the next directory up, and now it's up here with all the rest of them. Okay, and rather than calling it a sample child theme, I'm going to rename it to kid theme. All right. So now we have something called kid theme in there. If we go back to here and we look at themes, you'll see what we have, a Thematic child theme. So all the themes we have Thematic, and then we have a Thematic child theme. So let's take a look and let's preview that. And it looks exactly like the Thematic theme does. That is, it's exactly the Thematic theme. Remember that child themes just kind of take off on that original and build on it. So our next step, in fact, is going to be to create a to create a function in here so that we can change this a little bit. So if we go into the child theme, we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and activate it for now and work on it live. So if we go in and we go to the editor, we'll see that it says a thematic child theme. We should probably call that kid theme, which is what we're calling this. And that's fine. We'll leave everything else for now. You'd probably want to fix all of that. And you'll see it has a lot of the same imports, but it has, again, we start with this empty CSS file. So, for example, let's take a look at the live version of this. Change this, and I remember from before that this is an ID called blog title. So I can go back to my style sheet over here. Now you may have to go back and kind of reload this because we've changed the name to kid theme. Remember when we did that before? So you might have to go back and go to themes and select kid theme, which is, where is it? Kid theme, well, I've already done it, and activate it. Okay, so you may have to go back and activate it. Then you can go to the editor and go to style.css, and just like we have before, you can make changes here to this child theme, and it's just like when we were changing at the CSS level before. So I can, for example, bring in the blog title and change it to font with 100 pixels Times New Roman. Right now it's a sans serif, so I'll change it to a serifed font and make it much bigger at 100 pixels. So if I update this file, you'll see that I've changed the title. And now it's much bigger and a different. That probably wouldn't be my choice, but you get the idea. Now, what if we wanted to do something a little fancier? What if we wanted to add directly into the template? What if we wanted to kind of introduce something called a favicon? Now, we talked a little bit about the favicon. Actually, we didn't talk about it at all. I linked to some information on it in the graphics section. I have a favicon that's sitting right here. It's called favicon. It's this thing right here. It's the thing that shows up here as on most browsers it'll show up right here, but because I'm using Chrome, it shows up on the tab just like that. So that might be something you want to have, and actually it kind of finds it automatically when it's at the root of my domain like that. But it's a good idea to have a link to it in the HTML. And the way you link to a favicon, let's do this live and see what we can do, is by doing the link rel, just the way you do with a style sheet. So you often do a link rel style sheet. Well, in this case, you can do link rel shortcut icon and then have the link to where the icon is. So what if we want to put one of these in our theme? Now, one thing we could do is we could go to the header and we could just kind of write it in there, and that's what we've talked about doing before, is just kind of going in there and writing stuff directly into the header. But for the child theme, let's go ahead and do it the right way, which is by going to the theme functions, which sounds scary, but it's just a set of functions. So as we said, we're going to create a function that produces something for us, and this is coming directly out of one of the tutorials, so you can take a look and find the code there, and I'm just going to copy and paste it over. Hold on.